Have you ever woken up feeling like your body just isn't the same? The familiar spring in your step seems to have vanished overnight, and by noon, it feels like you've already given all you've got. You might find yourself asking, "Where did all my energy go?" You're not alone. Many of us experience this as we grow older. Our vitality, once a constant companion, seems to slip away faster than we expected. But here's a thought that might surprise you. This change is not a loss. It's a part of life, an inevitable shift we all face. In fact, Buddhism teaches us that impermanence is at the core of life itself. Nothing stays the same, not our bodies, not our thoughts, and certainly not our energy. The Buddha offers us wisdom not just for spiritual enlightenment, but for navigating these changes with peace and grace. And while aging can feel daunting, it doesn't have to be something to mourn. Instead, it can be an opportunity to cultivate deeper mindfulness, acceptance, and vitality in ways we may not have considered. So how do we move through this stage of life without feeling drained and disconnected from our own potential? Today I want to share with you 6 simple yet profound morning rituals inspired by Buddhist teachings that can help you revitalize your spirit, clear your mind, and bring back that sense of vitality, no matter your age. These rituals don't require grand transformations. They are small, manageable practices that you can incorporate into your morning routine to kickstart your day with intention and calm. Join me as we explore these practices rooted in mindfulness, non-attachment, and compassion that will not only energize your body, but will also refresh your mind and soul. The Buddha's teachings, though ancient, offer timeless wisdom to help us thrive at any stage of life. Ready to find out how? Let's begin. Ritual 1: Morning Meditation. It's early in the morning, and the world outside still feels like it's holding its breath. Silent, calm, waiting. But as you open your eyes, your mind immediately rushes into the day. The list of things to do, the worries, the small stresses, all of them rush in, demanding your attention. Sound familiar? It's the busy mind we all know too well. But what if, just for a few moments, we chose to stop and breathe? What if, in that sacred stillness of the morning, we allowed ourselves to just be? The Buddha once said, "To meditate is to discover the treasure of the present moment." Meditation, especially in the morning, isn't about emptying your mind or becoming some picture of peaceful perfection. It's simply about being present. It's about grounding yourself in the now, tuning into your breath, and acknowledging the thoughts that come without judgment. In Buddhism, the act of meditation is a way of clearing away the clutter of the mind, much like a gardener clears the weeds to allow the flowers to bloom. Let me share a story with you. A monk once asked his disciples to sit in meditation for just 5 minutes each morning. The catch: they were to do nothing, just breathe, without trying to achieve anything. At first, they were frustrated, thinking that meditation had to be a long, complex practice. But as they followed his instructions, they realized something profound. In stillness, their minds found a kind of peace they hadn't known before. They didn't need to fix anything or chase after thoughts. All they had to do was be present. You don't need a long meditation practice to start the day. You don't need to sit in lotus position or clear your mind completely. Just sit for a few minutes in the quiet of your space. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and feel how the air moves in and out. As you inhale, let go of the tension in your body. As you exhale, release the clutter in your thoughts. Each time your mind drifts, as it will, gently guide it back. Over time, this practice of being present will calm the inner chaos, setting the tone for the rest of your day. Think of meditation as a gift to yourself, a gentle pause before the world demands your attention. It's not about achieving a perfect state of calm, it's about nurturing a sense of peace that stays with you throughout the day, a peace that grows with each moment of presence you allow. The mind is everything. What you think you become, the Buddha reminds us. So why not make that first thought of the day one of calm, one of peace? Even just 5 minutes can work wonders. It's not about how long you sit, but about how deeply you connect with the present moment. Try it tomorrow morning. Sit still, breathe deeply, and allow yourself to simply be. You might be surprised at how much energy this small act of mindfulness brings to your day. Ritual 2. Gentle stretching, or yoga. As the morning light begins to filter through the window, the body stirs, sometimes a little slower than before, sometimes with a bit more stiffness. You might feel it in your joints, or perhaps your muscles feel tight from the night's rest. And as we age, the body doesn't move quite as fluidly or easily as it used to. But that doesn't mean it's beyond care. In fact, this is precisely the time when we need to treat our bodies with the utmost love and compassion. The Buddha taught us to approach our bodies with awareness and gentleness, seeing them not as something to be fixed or mended, but as a sacred vessel that carries us through each day. In Buddhism, balance is key. The Buddha spoke of a life led by the middle path, avoiding extremes. It's not about pushing our bodies too hard in exercise or retreating from movement entirely. Instead, it's about finding a harmonious flow where we move, stretch, and breathe with intention, not force. A gentle yoga practice or simple stretching routine can help us reconnect with our bodies, allowing us to honor their strength and limitations with equal respect. Let me tell you a story of a wise elder who practiced yoga every morning. In her younger years, she was a skilled dancer, and movement came naturally to her. But as the years went by, she found that her body became more rigid, more prone to aches. One morning, feeling particularly stiff, she decided to start her day with a simple, slow yoga routine. She wasn't aiming for flexibility or strength, just awareness. As she gently moved into each posture, breathing deeply, she felt the tension start to melt away. With each stretch, she became more aware of her body's needs, its aches, its small victories. The body is your temple, she would often say. Treat it with respect, and it will honor you with strength. You see, yoga and stretching don't have to be about achieving a perfect pose. It's about listening to your body, moving with compassion, and honoring what you can do today, not yesterday or tomorrow. When we approach movement this way, we create a deeper connection with ourselves and open the door to healing. To start your morning, consider simple stretches that don't demand too much from your body. Try gently rolling your neck from side to side, reaching your arms toward the sky with a deep breath, or bending down slowly to touch your toes. If you've practiced yoga before, poses like child's pose or cat-cow are great for stretching the back and opening up the chest. You don't need to push for deeper flexibility. Instead, just focus on how each stretch feels. Feel the breath move with you as you stretch, and notice the tension releasing from your muscles with each exhale. This practice doesn't just benefit your body, it also nurtures your mind. Yoga is a mindful practice, and as you stretch, you are not just moving your body, but also calming your thoughts. Each breath is a reminder to be in the present moment, to accept yourself exactly as you are. The Buddha taught, you must love yourself before you can love others. And loving yourself starts with listening to your body, with kindness and patience, and moving in a way that honors its natural rhythm. Remember, the goal isn't to become the most flexible person in the room. It's to bring more awareness, peace, and balance into your body and mind. These gentle movements can awaken your energy for the day ahead, providing you with a sense of clarity and calm that sets the foundation for everything that comes next. Ritual 3. Gratitude practice. The sun rises higher, casting a warm glow across the room, and suddenly, the day begins to pull at you, demands, worries, tasks that seem to grow larger by the minute. It's so easy to get caught up in the rush, especially when we have more time behind us than ahead. But what if, before we jump into the chaos of the day, we paused for just a moment to acknowledge something good? What if, in the quiet of the morning, we took time to reflect on what we have instead of what we lack? Gratitude, in Buddhism, is more than just a feeling. It is a practice that has the power to shift our entire perspective. The Buddha encouraged us to cultivate a heart of thankfulness, not just for the grand moments, but for the small, quiet blessings that weave through our lives. The simple act of acknowledging gratitude brings us closer to understanding the interconnectedness of all things. When we are grateful, we recognize the abundance in our lives and become more attuned to the present moment, the very moment that is so often taken for granted. I'd like to share a story that illustrates this. A man who had lived a long and challenging life often woke up with a sense of dread about the day. He felt tired, burdened by his own thoughts, and the challenges of aging weighed on his heart. One day, a friend of his, a seasoned practitioner of mindfulness, suggested a simple practice every morning before he even got out of bed. He should think of 3 things he was thankful for. It could be anything, no matter how small, perhaps a beautiful flower outside his window, the warmth of his blanket, or the love of a dear friend. At first it felt strange, even forced. But as the days went by, something shifted within him. He began to notice things he had never paid attention to before: the smell of his morning coffee, the sound of birds singing outside his window, the feeling of his feet on the ground. Slowly, the heaviness in his heart began to lift. He realized that gratitude had not only transformed his mornings, but it had transformed his entire outlook on life. In Buddhism, we learn that when you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Gratitude helps us see that we are not missing anything. What we have is already enough. By focusing on the beauty and goodness that surrounds us, we begin to live with a sense of abundance rather than scarcity. So, let's start tomorrow morning with a practice of gratitude. As soon as you wake up, before you even leave your bed, take a moment to reflect on 3 things that you are grateful for. They don't need to be grand gestures, just small moments that make life richer. Perhaps it's the comfort of your bed, the laughter of a loved one, or the quiet peace of the early morning. Whatever it is, let that gratitude fill your heart. In that moment, you shift from the endless demands of the day to a deeper sense of appreciation for the present. By taking a few moments each morning to focus on gratitude, you will start to notice a shift in your energy throughout the day. Rather than feeling rushed or frustrated by what's missing, you will feel more grounded, more at peace. Gratitude opens our hearts, allowing us to connect with others more deeply and to recognize the goodness in the simplest of moments. The Buddha taught that happiness never decreases by being shared, and gratitude is one of the easiest ways to share happiness with yourself and the world around you. Ritual 4. Embracing non-attachment. As the day unfolds and you go about your morning routine, you might notice something familiar: the weight of expectations. Expectations of how the day should look, how you should feel, or how your body should function. And with these expectations often comes frustration or even disappointment when things don't go as planned. It's natural, isn't it? But what if I told you that the secret to freeing yourself from that frustration lies in one of the core teachings of Buddhism, non-attachment? The Buddha's wisdom about impermanence teaches us that everything in life is fleeting: our bodies, our thoughts, our emotions. When we cling to things, whether it's our past, our physical health, or even a specific outcome for the day, we set ourselves up for suffering. Non-attachment doesn't mean we stop caring or disengage from life. It means that we embrace the fluid nature of everything around us, accepting that change is a part of our journey. Let me share a story that beautifully illustrates this concept. There was an elderly woman who lived in a quiet village. She had spent much of her life accumulating things: beautiful vases, clothes, books, memories. Over the years, she grew very attached to these items, believing they were a reflection of her life's worth. But as time went on, she began to feel more and more burdened by these possessions. Her once lively home felt heavy, like it was holding her down. One day, a wise monk passed through the village and noticed her struggles. He asked her to take a walk with him to the edge of a nearby forest, where they sat and observed a large tree. The monk asked, "Do you see this tree? It has been standing here for years, growing tall and strong. But do you think it holds on to its leaves or its branches? No, it lets them go freely, knowing that they will return in another season." The woman thought about this for a moment. She had held on to so many things for so long: memories, items, even identities. But just like the tree, she could release them and trust that with time, new things, new experiences would come. This was a moment of profound understanding. By letting go of the attachment to her possessions, she could open herself up to new possibilities, new experiences, and a new sense of freedom. Now, think about your own life. How often do we wake up with expectations, whether they're about how we feel, what we accomplish, or how our bodies will behave? And when things don't go as planned, we feel frustrated, disheartened, or even defeated. But this is where the practice of non-attachment can truly set us free. Instead of forcing ourselves to live up to these expectations, we can begin each day with a sense of openness and acceptance. I don't know what today will bring, but I am ready to embrace it. Non-attachment is not about detachment from life or its experiences. It's about letting go of the need to control outcomes or cling to what we can't hold on to forever. It's about releasing our grip on the things we cannot change and finding peace in the freedom of acceptance. In practical terms, start tomorrow morning by letting go of the need to control how the day unfolds. Before you even get out of bed, take a moment to mentally release any expectations you might have. Let go of the thoughts about how things should be or how you should feel. This small practice of opening yourself up to the day with a sense of acceptance can change your entire perspective. When you let go of attachment, you open yourself up to the beauty and peace of simply being. The Buddha reminds us that the root of suffering is attachment. So why not begin your day by embracing a sense of freedom, a freedom that comes from letting go and accepting the impermanence of life and all that it offers. Ritual 5. Mindful eating. The morning sun continues its ascent, filling the room with a gentle light. You sit down for your first meal of the day, perhaps a warm cup of tea, a bowl of oatmeal, or some fresh fruit. But how often do we eat in a hurry? We rush through breakfast, distracted by the day ahead, checking emails or scrolling through our phones. We barely notice the texture of the food, the warmth, the flavors, or even the nourishment it provides. And yet in Buddhism, eating is considered a sacred practice, an opportunity to connect with the present moment and appreciate the simple act of being nourished. The Buddha spoke often about mindfulness, the practice of being fully present in whatever we do. Whether it's walking, talking, or eating, mindfulness is the key to experiencing life more deeply and with greater awareness. In fact, when you eat, eat. When you walk, walk. The Buddha once said, "It's a simple yet profound reminder that when we engage in any activity, we should do so with full attention, letting go of distractions and truly appreciating the moment." Let me share with you a story that illustrates the beauty of mindful eating. A young monk, eager to learn the ways of meditation and mindfulness, approached his teacher and asked, "Master, what is the most important practice I should follow?" The teacher, without hesitation, replied, "When you eat, eat. When you walk, walk." The monk, puzzled, asked again, "Is there no secret, no profound practice for awakening?" The teacher simply repeated, "When you eat, eat." It took time for the young monk to truly understand these words. At first he thought the teacher was simply being evasive, but soon he began to notice how he often ate in a rush, barely tasting his food, his mind already racing to the next task. When he started eating mindfully, slowing down, savoring each bite, truly appreciating the food, he realized how much peace and satisfaction could be found in the simple act of eating. He found himself more present, more grounded, and more grateful for the nourishment he received. Now, think about your own meals. How often do you eat on autopilot, distracted by thoughts or external stimuli? Mindful eating invites us to slow down, to engage fully with our food, and to appreciate the gift of nourishment. It's about savoring each bite, being aware of the textures and flavors, and feeling gratitude for the sustenance that supports our bodies. Tomorrow morning, when you sit down for breakfast, take a moment to breathe deeply before you begin. As you take your first bite, notice the taste, the texture, and the warmth of the food. Pay attention to how it nourishes your body and how each bite brings you into the present moment. If your mind starts to wander, gently guide it back to the experience of eating. This simple act of mindfulness can bring a profound sense of peace, helping you feel more connected to the food, to your body, and to the present moment. The Buddha teaches us that the body is the temple of the mind. By practicing mindful eating, we show reverence for our bodies, acknowledging the role food plays in sustaining us, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. As you begin this practice each day, you might find that your meals become moments of reflection, gratitude, and mindfulness, rather than rushed or mindless consumption. So tomorrow, when you sit down to eat, remember the words of the Buddha, "When you eat, eat." Let the simple act of nourishing your body become an opportunity to center yourself in the present, to practice mindfulness, and to appreciate the beauty of life's small moments. Ritual 6. Compassionate affirmations and self-love. As your morning draws toward its close, after the meditation, the stretching, the gratitude, the release of expectations, and the mindful nourishment, you've already gifted yourself presence, movement, and awareness. But there's still one ritual that gently ties it all together, like a warm shawl draped over your shoulders, the practice of compassion beginning with yourself. In Buddhism, compassion, karutta, is seen not just as an emotion, but as a way of living. It is the heartfelt wish that others may be free from suffering. And yes, this includes you. Often, as we grow older, we become more critical of ourselves. We may feel the sting of physical limitations or a quiet grief for the things we once could do with ease. It's easy to get caught up in self-judgment. I should be stronger. I used to do this better. Why can't I keep up anymore? But what if, instead of criticizing ourselves for changing, We met those changes with kindness. The Buddha once said, "You can search throughout the entire universe for someone who is more deserving of your love and compassion than you are, and that person is not to be found anywhere. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." Let that sink in for a moment. Now imagine beginning your day not with self-doubt, but with gentle affirmation. Imagine standing in front of your mirror, looking into your own eyes, and saying, "I am doing my best, and that is enough." Or perhaps, "I am worthy of love and care, especially from myself." These words, spoken with sincerity, begin to soften the inner critic. Over time, they become a balm for the wounds we often carry quietly, the ones we don't speak about, the ones that ache in silence. Let me share the story of Frank, a retired school teacher in his 70s. Frank was always hard on himself. Though he had a gentle heart, he carried around a voice of self-judgment louder than most people ever heard. After his wife passed, he found himself waking up feeling alone, unsure and unkind toward himself. One day, his daughter gave him a small card with an affirmation written in her handwriting. "Dad, you are enough. I love you. I hope you learn to love you too." He tucked that card into the corner of his bathroom mirror, and each morning, even when he didn't feel like it, he whispered those words aloud. Slowly, they began to take root. He said them louder. Then one morning, after stretching and sipping his tea, he smiled, not just at the words, but at himself. "I really am enough," he whispered, and he meant it. This practice of compassionate affirmation is more than positive thinking. It's a form of inner healing. It's a way to honor the journey you've walked, with all its joys and hardships. To speak kindly to yourself is to acknowledge your resilience, your wisdom, your presence. So tomorrow morning, stand or sit somewhere quiet. Place your hand over your heart. Take a slow breath in, and as you exhale, speak a phrase of kindness to yourself. It can be simple. "I am grateful for who I am today. I am aging with grace and dignity. My presence matters." Let the words be a whisper if they must be, but let them come from the heart. And if you'd like, extend this compassion outward. Think of someone in your life, perhaps a friend, a caregiver, a family member, and silently wish them peace. You can say, "May you be well, may you be safe, may you live with ease." This small ripple of kindness will not only uplift you, but also gently radiate to those around you. The Buddha's path is one of awakening, yes, but it is also one of tenderness. As we grow older, we don't need to armor ourselves. We need to soften. We need to remind ourselves that we are not just aging, we are still growing. And growth, at any age, requires love. Let your final morning ritual be this. Speak to yourself as you would to a dear friend, with warmth, with patience, with deep compassion. This small act, done each day, becomes a lifelong devotion to your well-being, and a reminder that your worth is not measured by what you do, but simply by who you are. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to pause for a moment and reflect on the simple yet powerful rituals we've explored. Meditation, which anchors you in the present moment. Gentle stretching, a reminder to listen to your body with kindness. Gratitude, a practice that shifts your focus to the abundance that surrounds you. Non-attachment, which allows you to release the burden of expectations and embrace life as it comes. Mindful eating, a way to nourish your body with awareness. And finally, compassion, both for yourself and others, to soften the edges of self-criticism and foster inner peace. These 6 morning rituals, deeply rooted in Buddhist wisdom, can truly transform how you experience each day. By practicing them, you begin to embrace the inevitable changes of aging not with fear or resistance, but with grace, patience, and acceptance. The Buddha once wisely said, "The trouble is you think you have time. How often do we wait for the right moment to begin?" But why wait? Why not start today? Just choose one of these practices to introduce into your morning routine and observe how it shifts your energy and perspective. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. Each step you take, no matter how small, leads you to a life lived more fully and mindfully. So I ask you this, what ritual will you embrace tomorrow morning? Will you sit quietly for 5 minutes and breathe, or perhaps practice gratitude before your feet even touch the floor? Each small moment matters. It's the journey that makes life rich and meaningful. Thank you for joining me here on Quiet Wisdom today. I truly hope these teachings have offered you something to carry forward into your day. Please, take a moment to share your thoughts, your reflections, and any experiences you've had with these rituals in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who may benefit from this peaceful, mindful approach to life. Here at Quiet Wisdom, we explore how to live a meaningful life, no matter our age. May you find serenity in every step of your journey.